Happy spring practice to anybody that celebrates. As the Oklahoma Sooners are beginning their spring practices, we've got to look at the roster and every position and see kind of what we think is going to play out as spring practices go through. We'll have the spring game on April 20th. I hope to be there. But besides that, next few weeks, we get all the most interesting content to talk about what each position looked like. So in this video, we're going to start with the wide receiver room because that's my favorite room. This is the guy that I'm trying to get a raise for again, because this man has built us a room that's probably as good as we've seen since like 2017, 18 in the CeeDee Lamb, Hollywood Brown era, right? And I think we've got even more weapons in comparison. So we're going to dive into the wide receivers, give you my prediction of who I think is going to stand out, and look at the roster as the rosters did drop. Before we do that, welcome to Unfair Sports. I'm your host, Jay. Thank y'all for pulling up to the channel. Make sure you hit that like button if you like our content. And if you're new to the channel, subscribe. So let's jump into that. This video here is sponsored by our partners over at Aura. Let's talk about them real quick, and then we're going to jump into the wide receiver room. Let's talk about all of your personal information all over the interwebs. Y'all know about that, right? Have you been getting a ton of spam calls and text messages as of late and trying to figure out why? I know I have. Well, most likely these data brokers out there have sold your information to scammers and spammers and anybody that would see value in your information. Yeah, it kind of makes you feel a little bit uneasy. I know when I did a search of my information, I saw my address, email, all kinds of stuff that had me a little nervous. Not gonna lie. That's why I've been leveraging Aura, our partner and sponsor for this video. Aura can identify data brokers exposing your information on the internet and submit opt-out requests on your behalf. Brokers are legally required to remove your information if you ask them to, but it's so difficult to get your information off of the internet. They do that by design, though. Aura also does so much more to protect you and your family. It's really easy to set up, and you don't have to download several different apps to get things like parental controls, antivirus, VPN, password management, identity theft insurance, and more. You get everything at one affordable price. Let Aura do all the heavy lifting of protecting you in this big world of the internet like I have. I've been leveraging for the last few months, and man, the alerts I get on how it's been opting me out of stuff has made me breathe a sigh of relief. You should check it out as well. That way you can focus on what's more important, like college football, recruiting, anything else but your information on the internet. Check out my site, www.aura.com/unfairsports. You can check out the link in the description below or the QR code here on the screen. Let them know that I sent you. So Emmett Jones has been putting in work in the wide receiver room for us over the last year and a half that he's been here, right? He's brought in some extremely talented players, and we've seen some of the players that we hoped to be great elevate themselves. And so coming into this one, of course, we're returning some players. We got Nick Anderson. You're bringing back Jalil Farouk. Andrew Anthony will be coming off injury. Hearing he's doing well in his rehab. Jay Gibson, Brendan Thompson. And then you go down the list into like Evan Sawchuk that saw some action. Jaquez Petaway. So we're bringing back a good amount of snaps and production from last year. This is probably our strongest room on the offensive side of the ball because we're bringing back so many players. And then we're bringing in transfer Deion Burks, who we've seen that dude be a monster. It looks like he's going to go out there and try to take somebody's spot. Heck, in his interview last week, his media time, he mentioned that he saw what Drake Stoops did. He hopes to bring the same thing. And so the rosters came out for the spring rosters officially. So we got size and weights and everything for everybody. But I want to talk about what I think Emmett Jones is going to put us out there with, right? So this is my hierarchy that I think we're going to see stats and who I think is going to stand out, right? I think Nick Anderson's going to be your top dog. He'll be the one that's going to be fed the most. He's going to be the one that we're going to be putting the ball in his hands the most. Last year he was second in yards, and he was third in receptions. Second in yards at 798 with 38 catches, averaging 21 yards a catch as a redshirt freshman, and he had 10 touchdowns. So of course he's going to be the focal point of the offense. He'll be the guy who will go to the most. So at that point, you'll also potentially see him as the guy that's going to be doubled the most. Right behind him, if healthy, I'm sensing that Andrew Anthony's going to jump out and be big. right behind him. Andrell Anthony coming in when he transferred from Michigan, you looked at him like, okay, this guy's pretty talented. I wonder if he comes back healthy, will he be able to continue the way he played? Now, granted, he came in, we didn't know who he was, but then he became him the moment he got on the field, right? He was fourth on the team in receptions at 27, and he had 429 yards last season, right? With his one touchdown, that deep pass. Then he got injured in the Texas game towards ACL, and we haven't seen him since. But that's a good, that was in October. So I think we're solid on him being able to come back and being healthy. Hopefully here in the spring game, we get to see him moving around. But I know by fall, he should be prepared. It looks like he's going to be ready to go. Following him, I think Deion Burks carves out a spot for himself, right? I think he becomes the third best receiver on this team. Honestly, he may actually lead the team in receptions. I think Nick Anderson leads us in yards. I think Burks leads us in receptions as the slot guy that really pulls out the Drake Stoops role. Just always finding a way to be open, being consistently in the pocket, perfect for where Jackson Arnold can throw it to him. So I'm expecting Deion Burks to give us some special stuff there. I think following behind him, you'll see some Jaden Gibson. I think Gibson's going to really cook this year. I know that him and Jackson Arnold had a nice little connection throughout last season. I mean, if you go watch the games that Jackson Arnold played, he was launching to Jaden Gibson and Gibson was getting them. So it feels like there's a chemistry that we're going to see between those two. And then I think Jalil Farouk's going to take the back seat behind everybody, but that doesn't mean Jalil Farouk's not going to be effective. I think he's going to be effective in a lot of points of the game that we need. I think he's been fixed those fumbling problems. I mean, he fumbled against Tulsa to start the game, and then those two against Arizona, which were big. But he also came in clutch. That catch against BYU to seal the game. The catch against Texas at Red River. And then the little step move he put out there. Who was it against? Iowa State. I mean, Arkansas State. He was putting in enough work. And he also was, he's put up some numbers. 45 catches, 694 yards, 2 touchdowns. Right? So I expect that to be your top 5. But then we're going to bring in some of the consolations, right? You've got Brendan Thompson. I mean, last year he had 375 yards. I'm sorry, he had 241 yards on 7 catches. That's 34 yards a catch. 2 touchdowns, both of them deep. I sense we're going to see a lot of deep threats out of him. I don't know if he'll walk in. I'll put it like this. I sense he'll be a good Deion Burks understudy, getting his route running to be pristine and then leveraging his speed to go deep, catch balls across the middle, and just outrun the entire defense. This room is sick. Barring injury, best wide receiver room in the SEC. Fight me over it. Find somebody else to argue with that. But that's even better. Then you got Jaquez Petaway, who's, going to start seeing some run. He's fast. Hopefully we get him in the special teams game. I sense that he would be really good catching punts or returning kickoffs with his speed and his vision. He'd be something big. But then you go into the wide receiver room from there, you're going to see a lot of new faces. A lot of the young guys are out there. You bring in like Ivan Carrion. Whew. I mean, 6'6", 200-pound wide receiver. Everybody's trying to push him to tight end. Nah, that's a wideout. And he's fast enough to be able to be a threat. You got Zion Kearney, in which OU dropped a picture of him from practice, and he's already looking stout. I mean, at number 7, 6'1", 207, he looks bigger than that. Nice size wide receiver to go along with that portion of it. Then you go down the line with some of these other young wide receivers, which, like I said, that room there is where we've seen Emmett Jones really work the most. And so I'm, of course, beyond excited about bringing in the young players who's probably going to walk in here, cause some problems. I'm hearing J.J. Hester, the giant from Tulsa, looking good, 6'4", 201. Looks like he's starting to, get his legs underneath him. Hopefully he does. I mean, we would love to have additional bodies to help, right? So, looking at the wide receiver room, seeing the players that we brought in, hop in the comments, let your boy know your thoughts. Who y'all think is going to be the wide receiver that steps out and owns things for the team? Like I said, that's my hierarchy piece here. Started with Nick Anderson, followed by Andrell Anthony, Deion Burks, Jaden Gibson, Jalil Farouk. And I think you'll see with that, some Brennan Thompson deep balls, which I expect a lot of those from him. Maybe even throw some Petaway ones in there. Ooh-wee. We brought in an elite class of wide receivers, and we got another elite class coming in. Oklahoma's doing everything y'all have been hoping for, and I don't think we slow down. Having those veteran wide receivers is going to help with Jackson Arnold's development and making sure that he is as pristine as we need going forward into the SEC. If you've made it this far, you like the content, please hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. Love for y'all to join this family of college football fans. Talking to all you football, college football in general. Had a blast do it. So, we'll be dropping all of the position spots. Check them out. And, share. Why? Because sharing is caring. And we'll talk soon. Peace.